Hello folks, it's Darren Chang. I know I'm in a slightly different place now. I had to get out of my son's voice range. He's talking on the phone with his pals really loudly. I'm here to review another crossover day pack in this case, and it's by a company called AER. It's hanging out inside of this cool bag here. And if you've heard of AER, you probably have heard about them in terms of their bag called their travel pack, which is a beautiful pack. It comes in black and gray. In fact, I did review that pack. I'll provide a link to it somewhere up in the corner there. And if you know the company, if you don't know the company, you should Google them. And they're AER, not AIR, AER. And they're an independent pack manufacturer and designer out of San Francisco, California. So look into them because they make some of the highest quality packs you can imagine. They're so well made that there's nobody else in their class in terms of how well made these packs are. These things are going to last you forever, and in fact, you're probably going to pass them down to your grandchildren. They're that robust. So when I found out that they were releasing a new series, a new collection, I think they call them, called the Work Collection, I knew that something pretty exciting was going to happen because it really was going to fall into the realm of packs that I typically review here. And for those of you who are familiar with my site, you know that I focus on something called the Crossover Day Pack. And crossover day packs are packs that work really well during the workday, during the week when you're potentially dressed in a suit and you need to go to a board meeting. But they can also work well if you're hiking trails on the weekends dressed in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. And this is not an easy task because typically, if you want to find something that works well in the boardroom, it has to be sort of a little subdued, professional looking, but also needs to be able to carry your tech gear fairly easily and protect it well. And if you're looking for something that you're going to use as your day hiker pack, you're typically looking for something that's going to be pretty robust and comfortable to wear and fairly weatherproofed. And those aren't necessarily things that you can find in one pack. It's been sort of the holy grail for me to find a pack that does this perfect crossover. And I do think that I found it in this thing called the AER Tech Pack. Now, it's not cheap. It's $200, but you get what you pay for, like everything else in life. And again, for me, I don't need to shame you all, but if you're looking to put a $2,000 laptop into a $60 bag, I think of that as being like buying a Ferrari and keeping it out on your front lawn. I mean, you just don't do that. So what's the point? Get a really nice bag, one that works well for you, one that's versatile, put all your expensive gear into it, and know that it's going to carry it well and it's going to protect it well. Okay, so let's take a look at this beauty. It comes in this nice laundry bag-like thing. And in fact, this laundry bag thing is going to be pretty useful. I can imagine using it when I travel. And here she is, this beauty. Okay, and it's called the Tech Pack. They do have two different versions. They have this Tech Pack and then they have a smaller version. I don't remember exactly what it's called. But this one seemed to fit more my needs. So let's take a look around this thing and I can show you what it has to offer. All right, so let's start with the front. It has a coated tarpaulin here, which means it's totally waterproof in the front. Now that doesn't necessarily, it looks like it's a ballistic nylon that's on the bottom and on the sides. So it's actually, the ballistic nylon is tougher, but it's not as weatherproofed as this coated tarpaulin in the front. If you take a look at the hardware on this thing, this is just crazy. These are YKK zippers, and they have got to be some of the most robust zippers I've ever seen. It's hard for me to even look and see what number they are, but my guess is they're either 8s or 10s, so these are beefy dudes. And what's most important is that these are the weatherproof zippers that are sort of reversed and have a rubberized coating. That it doesn't make it waterproof, but it does make it fairly weatherproof. It's really easy to open up and get access to your organizer panel, which you can see right here. I love it when organizer panels are on the outside so that you can get access to them without having to go mess around with the main compartment. So this is perfect, right? You have a slot here where I could put my cell phone, another pocket behind here, and happen to have a pack of gum behind there. And the extent of this pocket, as you can see, goes right along the seam right here. 2 places for pens, another wide open pocket. This is typically where I keep my wallet. And then it's harder to see here, but you can see there's a great big open pocket behind here, which goes all the way to right here on this pack. Okay, not all the way to the bottom. And then in front of that, you have 2 smaller divided pockets, and they have elasticized tops to be able to keep in there, and they're gusseted as well so they can hold some level of volume. And then in the front, you just have a great big opening here. Now, this is one thing I do want to make sure I point out to you. Notice that this top layer here, it's not flush and flat against the organizer panel. It actually has a good 3 inches worth of volume that sticks away from this organizer panel. So you can really put a lot of stuff in here. And in fact, as you'll see when I go to pack this up, this is typically where I put the case that holds my my noise canceling headphones, which are pretty big things. So it fits in there without any problem. I love having this volume of space here. I think it looks pretty cool as well. Okay, so that's the organizer panel. Lots to, oh, didn't even tell you about the zippered pocket up here. And inside of here you have the silly clip for your keys, something I absolutely never use. But it's there if you need it. Go ahead and zip this up. These zippers are like tanks, and they have these great zipper pulls on here integrated into the tab of the zippers, so you can really grab them if you're wearing mittens or gloves. No problem to be able to grab those things, zip them up, or zip them open. Just behind this organizer panel, you have, I will tilt this in this direction, you have a quick access pocket that is right on the top, and the volume drops into the main compartment. It's not fleece lined, but I have no problem putting my sunglasses or my regular glasses when I swap them out with my sunglasses into this spot. Very easy to get access to, and obviously a safer place to put it on the top and going into the main compartment than to maybe put it on the front of the pack, where if your pack falls over or gets crushed by a door, then it's not going to damage your sunglasses. So nice to have this thing on the top. It's a smaller gauge zipper, but frankly, you're not going to be asking it to do a lot just getting into this, this quick access pocket. Still has that same nice grab handle or grab tab here to be able to open it up. Just behind that, we have the main compartment. And again, you can see how the main compartment zippers, essentially this zipper is going to stop right here on the side. I mean, you can go a little bit below there, but you really wouldn't want to, because then it's hard to dig the zipper out, as compared to this one, which goes all the way down to this other side here. And in the main compartment, you even have more organization. I would say that the only thing that I do fault AER for is having this dark gray material in the interior liner, because it's, you want to have something that's bright enough that it allows reflected light to get into the bottom so you can see everything at the very bottom of the backpack. So if this had been in a bright green or a yellow, I think that would have been really nice, although it would lose a little bit of its professionalism if it's that bright. So perhaps it's a trade-off they didn't want to make. You can see here, this is the pocket that comes from that quick access pocket. This is what I was telling you, it actually drops into the main compartment. And back here you have, it's padded, there's foam padding here, a slot for a tablet, and it easily could swallow up a laptop if you wanted to, a 15-inch laptop. But it's clearly designed for either file folders or a large, and it would fit, for sure, it fits my 13-inch iPad Pro. And then in front of that, you have another open top pocket where you could put file folders. And it's very hard to see here, so you might just have to trust me here. There are 2 pockets. It's divided pockets that have the same elasticized top to them to be able to hold something. I could imagine it has no problem. It would be able to hold your charger for your MacBook Pro. And then again, you're going to have to trust me on this. On the other side, so it's this part, this flap right here. Okay, there is a large zippered pocket along the bottom third of the bag. And what's interesting about this pocket is that it actually has a stiffener in it. I'm not quite sure why, but it has a plastic insert stiffener, and if I work at it enough, I can pull this thing out for you. it's not really supposed to come out, I would imagine, or it would be much easier. So this is the little stiffener pocket thing. And I think what it does is it allows the pack to have a little bit more shape to it, so it keeps its shape. You may find that if you fill your pack a lot, that with heavy stuff at the bottom, that you might not need to use this. I'm still not entirely sure what this is for. I'm going to have to ask AER and maybe get back to you all about why this is in there. But again, it's in a zippered pocket in the bottom of the main compartment. So let me go ahead and stuff this back in. So you should know that that really does stiffen up the front. The front of the bag, actually, this pocket here, does have foam separating the organizer panel from the main compartment. So this bag does have its own structure, which makes it really nice to be able to load and unload because it stands up on its bottom really nicely and easily. Okay, so go ahead and zip this up. The same massive zipper that you see associated with the organizer panel zipper. The only thing I will tell you that there is some issue here. Notice that this zipper right here, this zipper pull, is the one that's associated with the quick access pocket here. And sometimes when you go to zip this thing up, this little zipper pull falls inside of the zipper area of the main compartment, so that when you go to zip it, it sometimes gets in the way and you end up sort of zipping it into the main compartment by mistake, and then it's near impossible to open up the access pocket without unzipping the main compartment. I think that AER could have gotten away, and I might just myself remove this. I think you could have gotten, they could have gotten away with not including this zipper pull on here, and then you'd have a non-issue with it getting in the way. It's pretty easy to remove these zipper pulls. They're just sort of, they're slotted in there. So I might go ahead and do that. So I guess in the end it's really a non-issue since you can remove it so easily. Okay, so the last compartment associated with the main part of the bag here is the laptop compartment. It's its own separate compartment, and what's great about this is that all the other, many of the other everyday bags that AER makes, they don't have a separate laptop compartment. Having a separate laptop compartment really does make this thing, it separates it from the others because it's so much easier when you're doing your work to be able to access your laptop without having to go into the main compartment. So separate compartment is awesome. I'm so glad they did this. It's padded on both sides, both into the main compartment as well as against your back. And it has no problem fitting a 15-inch MacBook Pro. It doesn't open all the way TSA friendly like, although you should know that unless you have TSA pre-check, even if your bag does open flat, most of the time those people who are working at TSA are going to ask you to remove your device no matter what. So it's a little silly to say that these packs that fold open and allow you to be able to see part of the laptop are TSA friendly, because I have yet to come across TSA folks who think that that's TSA friendly. Bottom line is that you can easily insert your laptop and take it out, and etc. in this thing, and that it's against your back. That's where you want to have most of your weight when you're carrying a bag. Okay, so let's take a look at the sides here. We have here a water bottle pocket, and there's a piece of elastic that's holding on here. Now, obviously, elastic is one of those things that does break down over time, so we'll see how long this will last. And it squeezes in there and holds a nice volume. It has no problem holding my hydro flask, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So on this side, again, this is a pocket for a water bottle, although there have been a couple occasions where I put my cell phone in here because it's so easily accessible. And on the other side, we have a zippered pocket here. And this zippered pocket does have a zipper cover, which makes it extraordinarily difficult to use. I kind of wish that they didn't have this, although it does give it a more finished look. But it sort of makes this pocket less useful, because if you go ahead and unzip it, it's really hard to dig in there. I mean, I don't have huge hands, but to be able to get in there and get anything out that's small, not happening. And it's really not big enough for me to be able to fit an iPhone in there. I wouldn't want to put my wallet in there because it actually is not very accessible because of this zipper cover here. So I don't know what I would put in there. It would have to be something that would not be something I'd need to get access to very quickly. But then why would I have it on the outside? It's sort of a not terribly useful pocket. I think if anything, I would have left this blank, or I would have put another water bottle pocket on the other side here. Would look nice and clean, balanced, no big deal. Although if you did have a water bottle pocket over here, it would have to go up a little bit further and it would get in the way of this thing, which is a really nice, boy, AER really knows how to do handles. This is a nice handle. It's not just a cheap piece of webbing. This is sort of seat belt material that's folded on itself, and there's a little padding in there as well. And while there's no way you could get away with looking at this thing and thinking, oh wow, that looks exactly like a briefcase, it does on occasion. It allows you to be able to hold it like that. And then there's another handle up here, the exact same design. And so you can grab it, toss this thing around. You know, those few times where you need to be able to grab your bag, it's incredibly handy to have a handle to grab onto as opposed to grabbing the shoulder straps. All right, so let's talk about the shoulder straps and the whole system, the suspension system we have back here. You can see here that they are shaped, okay? And that on the very back here, we have foam with a channel coming up the middle. These channels are great because they allow for ventilation, much greater ventilation, so you're not going to have as sweaty a back, although it's near impossible to avoid sweaty back altogether. And then there's some pretty soft foam back there, a little bit softer than I would have expected, but it's perforated so that you'll be able to get more ventilation through there as well. There is a strap down here that allows you to slide this over your rolling luggage if you happen to have rolling luggage. And then on the shoulder straps themselves, there is a sternum strap, which I think is essential for somebody who's often late to something and I need to run to get to classes or to a meeting with the headmaster or whatever it is. I always need to use the sternum strap to stabilize the load so I can move faster. And then there's also a little plastic D-ring here, and this is essential for me because this is typically where I hang my ID card that gives me access to all the campus buildings. Okay, so it's nothing crazy. I mean, we're not talking about a suspension system where you say, wow, that looks awesome. It's similar to the suspension system. It's not similar to the suspension system that I have on the Osprey Radial 26 that I recently reviewed. I mean, that thing is crazy good. But it also doesn't look nearly as professional as this bag does. So there are trade-offs. But you should know that it's very comfortable to wear, as I will show you momentarily. Bottom of the bag itself is flat, which is really nice. And again, that's something that drives me crazy. When I have a backpack that doesn't have a flat bottom and therefore can't stand on its own, it just makes the pack that much less usable when it can't stand on its own. So I'm glad that AER decided to go with a flat look here. And I think that's it. So next thing, let me go ahead and load this bag up. Tell you how much you'll see. Oh, well, it's a little hard for you to see. This is the typical load that I put into all the bags that I do in my reviews. So you might have to look at a different review to see the stuff that I put in there. I'm going to do the fast forward, so you won't be able to see all the stuff that goes in here. But needless to say, this is stuff that I typically need in a given day when I'm going to work. All right, so let me get packing. Okay, so there you have it. This is now fully packed with all my gear. It's probably about 15 pounds worth of stuff. And it may be hard to see, but you can see that it is standing on its own even though you can't see the whole pack. So let me go ahead and throw this on and tell you how comfortable it is to wear when it's loaded up with all my stuff. Again, this is about 15 pounds worth of gear. Okay, so you can see here it is on my back. I have to tell you that it is remarkably comfortable. There doesn't feel like there are any pinch points. There's no gaps. It's hard to know if it's going to offer a lot of ventilation. Probably not nearly as good of the ventilation as I have with this pack. If you recall, this is the Osprey Radial that has a mesh back here that lifts away from the rest of the pack. But you know, this is crazy unusual, and frankly, it looks a little bit less boardroomy and a little bit more hiking on the trails. So this pack really does seem to do just the right job here. I could probably lift it up a little bit higher. ago. You know, it looks like it's something that fits with a coat and tie, no problem. And it has great functionality. I think this thing could easily be something I use when I'm hiking the local trails and or hiking through a new city. So altogether, I have to tell you guys that this is probably my new very favorite pack. This thing is awesome. And again, yes, it's $200, but it's worth every penny. So take a look at this thing. Go to, I think it's www.aersf.com. Take a look at this in their work collection. And again, it's called the AER Tech Pack. Oh, one last thing before I leave you. They rate this pack as something like, I don't exactly know, but something like 16 liters, I think it is. No way, this pack is much bigger than 16 liters, so they're being very conservative with their measurements. This thing feels very much like the classic 28 liter bag that I typically look at. So don't be afraid. Don't look at that, what they say the volume is, and think, oh, that's not going to work for me, because I'm going to tell you, I promise you right now, that this will fit. This does fit everything that I typically carry in a quote-unquote 28 liter bag. Okay? All right, folks, until next time, good luck looking for your perfect bag.